Welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. And here's your host, Conrad Cushman.
Folks, welcome to episode 93 of the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. I am your host, Conrad Cushman, and today we have a very special podcast lined up for you. This is all based on what happened at the Royal Rumble. This will be my top 5 Edge matches for the podcast today. We're just going to go through some of them, have some fun. This is really tough, too, for this list. So before we get into anything else dealing with this, I must say, this is a tough list. Very hard to put the 5 matches I put on here compared to some of the other ones. I know some will disagree. Some will say, yeah, this is definitely good. We'll talk about it. But before you do that, if you guys are watching live on YouTube with me, make sure you guys hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And make sure you leave me a comment or you're chatting in the chat box. Helps out. And right now we got Rockstar Savage in the house. My man Austin Stroop, Mr. Floodwater, Derek Shelton, Jonell Jackson, and more people are coming in as we speak. Thank you guys for joining me as we get ready to do this podcast solo here, talking about Edge. Also, guys, make sure you check out in the description boxes. We have a link tree down there. The link tree will post links to all the audio forms of the podcast, whether that's on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you listen to your podcast on. Subscribe to Everything Pro Wrestling. That way you guys don't miss out. I've been trying to get a feel for it too, so if you guys want to follow me on Twitter at EPW Show, and if you're watching live, everything is down below here. Make sure that you guys give me some feedback on it, because we do AEW Dynamite reviews every Wednesday, and if you guys want those episodes as well into the podcast feed, I'll be more than happy to upload them. I just have to know that people want those as well, and we do pay-per-view reviews. I don't know if you want them for on the go. Let me know. Folks, don't forget Powerslam.tv. We have that in the description as well. Powerslam.tv brings you the best independent pro wrestling around the country. If you guys use my code EPW Show, all one word, you guys can get yourselves your first month free. It's on me. It's on the kid. You guys take care of the rest, and we'll take care of you. We've got some really good stuff lined up for today, though. Very happy. Donnie, I see you in here. What's going on, brother? Very happy to do this podcast, man. Today's been kind of a weird day for me. Very like tired all day at work. Went to the gym afterwards. Tired there. I just feel very, I don't know, I need to re-energize myself. I need to get in that fountain of youth and feel good again. So, working on it, right? Oh, man. This podcast. Edge, man, I can't believe this man came back at the Royal Rumble. We were talking about it in the review. Derek is a big Edge fan. He actually had Edge's number in the Royal Rumble pool. And if you are in here, you better tell your friends that I will be pulling whoever gets the gift cards and stuff tonight too. So that will switch towards the end of the stream. We'll find out the winners. It's all going to be random. You guys are going to get to see it. So we'll talk about it. But first, I guess we're going to kind of quickly run through Monday Night Raw before we get into everything else that happened. Monday Night Raw was decent yesterday. It was kind of weird. It was like a good show, but still too long. I'll never get over the 3 hours thing. I was watching with Derek, who's in the chat. Derek was knocked out asleep. But Flood said that Raw was great again. Are you doing weekly WWE reviews now that it's Mania season? I have in the past, but I don't know, Flood. It ain't looking too good for some Raw reviews right now. I need to see consistent good shows, and I can hop back on those again. But I don't know. We had some matches though to build up things. We had Drew McIntyre, the Royal Rumble winner, defeating Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson. We had Rey Mysterio. He came back to defeat MVP came back, to go up against Rey Mysterio, who defeated him. Very awkward ending with Rey Mysterio hitting the 619 on MVP's back and then hitting him with the frog splash afterwards. Whatever. It was what it was. I'm glad MVP's back, man. I've always been a big fan of his. Actually, I like his music, too, that he was putting out a few years back. Holla to the World is a great song. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, look it up. It's on YouTube. Really good song, in my opinion. And I kind of miss him coming out to We Ballin' a little bit. I know he comes out to the 1, 2, you hear the clock ticking, tick, tock. It's Silk the Shaka. I mean, it's what it is. But I thought MVP had some pretty good musical aspirations as well. What is going on, Sick? Good to have you in here. Mr. Floodwater says Edge is his favorite of all time. I would have never been able to tell by your icon, good sir. He's got a Rated R Superstar icon on YouTube here. Aleister Black picked up a win on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins defeated Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens with his tag partner of Buddy Murphy. Still weird that they're the tag team champs. Samoa Joe took a bad landing out on the floor onto his head. Hopefully the concussion isn't too bad. That's what I'm hearing, the rumors that it is a concussion at this point. Would really like to see things get better for Samoa Joe. He always seems to get hurt at this point, man. Just don't know, man. Yeah, just sad, man. I want to see Samoa Joe in a big WrestleMania match. KO too. These guys are just kind of like floundering, and I know how good they are. So I'm praying for the best with that. Humberto Carrillo defeated Andrade. We found out afterwards Humberto DDT'd Andrade onto the concrete floor using his own move against him. And this was to write Andrade off of TV because he's been suspended. He has violated the WWE's wellness policy, so he's got a 30-day suspension on his hands. Still the U.S. champ at this current time, but it's weird. All these suspensions just randomly started popping up again. We got some comments here coming in from the chat. Six said, Raw was great, but one great show in a long time and a long line of shitty shows. I don't know, man. You're not wrong, though, about that. Let's see here. The Silk the Shocker track was a classic. I even missed the inflatable moonwalk setup. I don't miss that. That was so corny. I even thought that when he originally started with that. Casey Briggs said, y'all know what I mean. Dude's got those badass abs again. Who knows how long he was working on it, though, as far as Edge goes with that. Charlotte defeated Asuka via DQ, so it looks like Charlotte may have a little beef with the Kabuki Warriors for now. Leading up to Mania. Charlotte did win the Women's Royal Rumble as well, so she still has to pick who she's challenging. Lots of rumors circulating on who she's going to challenge. A lot of it seems like, do we want to see her versus Becky again? Do we want to see her and Bayley again? It's kind of been there, done that. Rumors are, though, that she may be fighting the NXT champion, Rhea Ripley. That makes things very, very interesting. This could be a big moment for Rhea Ripley going into this match. I don't know, man. I don't know who wins that either. It's like the company's favorite person, Charlotte, taking on Triple H's girl, Rhea Ripley. I think that would be a WrestleMania match that could really produce a classic, and I think that would be really good for them. I think that's the best option at this point. Let Charlotte go against Rhea Ripley. I just don't know who wins that, though. I'll have to put some more time and thought behind it, and we don't know if that's for sure either or confirmed at this point. Derek said Edge has been doing those workouts with Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior workouts. Maybe, dude. Sheamus, he's pretty jacked too, though. He knows what he's doing. We had Liv Morgan versus Lana. Liv Morgan picks up the victory here. So who knows if this feud's over. I feel like it's not, because Rusev and Bobby Lashley really haven't had their blow off to it yet. But Liv Morgan picks up a win against Lana. Eric Rowan defeats another local talent. Those were all the big takeaways from all of this. Now, I want to talk about the ending of Monday Night Raw, because I have to give them credit for what they did here. They did something that was very, very different. They hyped up Edge all night. A little too much hyping, I felt, too, for Edge coming back. I just think WWE does it ad nauseum. It has nothing to do with Edge. It's just like, all right, dude, I get it. and they were trying to keep the crowd in there for the 3-hour show, which according to ratings today, they went up. They still lost people all 3 hours because the show's too long, but they did better in the gaps though. So I give them credit for that. Not hating, just exactly what I expected. Edge comes out though, and everybody's wondering, is he staying? A lot of us knew already. Edge is probably having a WrestleMania match. He's been cleared by the doctors. Everything apparently is all good. He had another surgery. I did not know that until recently, and he's cleared to go. So they're going to give Edge this match. And people have been teasing, who's he going to fight? Is it going to be AJ Styles? Looks like AJ Styles might have separated his shoulder at the Royal Rumble. A lot of people saw that during that flip. AJ landed very badly, and then he kind of just got tossed out, and everyone was like, oh, AJ's out. A lot of people thought, could it be Seth Rollins? Remember, Seth Rollins did at one point hold Edge's head and threatening to curb stomp him if John Cena didn't give him what he wanted. We all remember that. And that eventually John Cena caved in because of that, because he didn't want to see Edge get hurt. You know, babyface syndrome. I get it. And they do that. At first, I thought that maybe Edge would be in there to help Joe Owens and Aleister Black go against the four of them. Big 4-man tag. You protect Edge. But no. They're going for a big marquee match with this. And it goes down to the third person. The Rated R Superstars' former tag team partner, Randall Keith Orton. Randy Orton comes out. They teamed up a lot in the Royal Rumble. They pulled the Rated RKO right over all of our faces. We were chanting it. We were feeling it. They were doing their thing. And we see this. So Edge is talking about what he's going to do, how he's excited to be back. And I love it. Edge had a promo that felt real. You could tell it wasn't scripted. It's the things that I miss in pro wrestling. More of this, please. Teach the newer wrestlers the art of how to do this, please. That's just what it is at this point. You have to teach these wrestlers the art of this and how to be the best when cutting promos. And Edge is one of the best, in my opinion, at doing that. He always came off as whatever he was supposed to be. A good guy, bad guy. He knew what he was doing. And thank goodness when he first came in, Vince Russo wanted to make him, I'm trying to find an appropriate word here. He wanted to make it so Edge couldn't talk. Could you imagine Edge never being able to talk because of a character somebody gave him? That was a foolish idea. Thank goodness somebody vetoed that. I think it was Vince, they said, vetoed that. Like, no, he needs to be able to talk. So Edge gets this great reaction from the crowd. The people love him. Why wouldn't they? It's been 9 years since the dude has been in a wrestling ring, able to wrestle. He made his return. Edge is showered with love from the fans. He knew exactly what was happening. Randy Orton comes out and interrupts him. He makes his way out to the ringside area. He gives Edge a hug and he says, hey, what about we get back together? Rated RKO. The glimmers in their eyes. And then when you least expect it, Randy Orton gives Edge an RKO. Edge sold this perfectly. His hand was shaking. Edge did not know where he was going, what he was doing. People in the crowd had the gasp. I'm trying to do that for the people who are listening on the audio form, and the hands over the face. They got them. This was very, very well done. This is the brutality that I want to see more often from superstars in the WWE. So afterwards, he gets him with the RKO, and he then gets a steel chair. Now, he threatened basically to Pillmanize him. If you guys know Brian Pillman, when he got his ankle put in the steel chair, someone jumps off the middle rope to like bust up his ankle. That's what we're talking about when we say Pillmanize somebody. But he put his head in between the chair, and Randy Orton looked like he was going to stomp on it. Randy thinks better of it and gets out. Then he teased me a couple times. He made me think he was going to punt kick him even. He didn't. He didn't do it. What he decided to do, though, was something that was very flashback, going back to the days of Edge, a concerto. He put Edge's head on a chair, took another steel chair, and basically made a sandwich with it. terrible, brutal. The fans were like, oh my goodness. And it was right on Edge's neck where he was hurt. Well done. Randy Orton plays the bastard heel so well. I knew it, man. Like, Randy Orton is meant to be a heel. He just has that look in his face. He's going to probably say he was mad that Edge eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. But hey, that's what happens. Let me take a look here what's going on in the chat. Sick asked, Derek did not like the idea of Rhea Ripley. You got to tell me something better, Derek. You got to give me what would be the best option then, because to me, Rhea Ripley is it. Man, what happened with Asuka? How did they book her as a dominant force and then pretty much jobbing out? Sick. It's been the whole deal with Asuka. Nobody knows exactly how to treat Asuka and put her into some things. Mr. Floodwater said Women's Royal Rumble winners are running through the alphabet. Elijah Washington said, hey bro, no question, hit that like button, guys. My best Edge match is him versus Kurt Angle and Flair and Eddie Guerrero and Cena. We'll get into some of those in a minute here. Mr. Floodwater, holy shit, you're right. Who's the D for next year? See, Casey didn't notice it. Good job, Flood. People are just throwing out some of their favorite Edge matches in here. Let's see. Six said, I knew something was going to happen, Edge, because they were hyping Edge up too much. It's like that character in the movie who talks about making a dramatic change in life and then they just die later. Yeah, it's like Ricky and Boys in the Hood, man. Good point. Dakota Kai, maybe. You guys are silly trying to come up with who could win next year with a D name. Edge's got the worst spear, Rockstar Savage said. I don't think so. I think Edge has a great spear. Casey also says no, he doesn't. He thinks Roman has the worst spear. I like Roman's too, though. I think Roman's is pretty good when done correctly. I like it better when Roman does it on like the Big Show and Braun Strowman. I think it looks more powerful. I feel like Roman's out there trying to make sure he doesn't hurt anybody when he's doing it. Vicky Guerrero, worst spear ever. Laugh out loud. Terrible. People are still talking about Rhea Ripley. Mao Wrestling in the house. What's going on, Mao? I saw you earlier on Chris Van Vliet's interview in the live chat. Good to see you in here, brother. Roman's got the worst spear, facts, but his dive is dope, though. I think Roman's is all right. I think we could definitely look for worse people than his, but WrestleMania looks like Drew Brock, Randy Edge, Charlotte versus Rhea, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, Baszler. That's a nice lineup, though. We'll see. We got to see how this plays out, though. The storytelling is what is the most important thing in all of this. PR Nightmare, it's because AJ is injured now. I don't know if AJ was the first choice, but who knows? Hopefully AJ's back beforehand. AJ and Joe, I don't want to see these guys injured before Mania, man. Let's see. Rockstar Savage said Edge versus Undertaker is his favorite match. If they do that, she'll win, and then Rhea will officially become... We can't use the word buried, Derek, like that. Buried, people use that term too frequently. She won't be, because Triple H is a big fan of Rhea Ripley. He's not going to let that happen. He'll figure out a way to do that. They are jumping all over the convo here. Edge's spear is unique to me. He holds on to it as he goes down very sick. Let's see. Dana Brooke will win next year's Rumble. A lot of women have horrible spears except for Caitlyn. Mao says, OMG, bro, don't make me cry. I miss John Singleton and love that movie. True story, when movies were real and the emotions. Yeah, that was a good movie, man. I love Boys in the Hood. Really good movie. Yeah, dude. Let's get into some more of this, though. So they set up the WrestleMania match, Orton and Edge. I think this is smart, though. It keeps Edge off TV for a little bit, so that way when he comes back, he gets the fresh pop. Now you just have to wait. Well, when's he going to come back? When do you do it? When do you bring him back? That's up to Vince and the WWE and the story that they want to tell. Hopefully they don't do like the whole, well, maybe his career is still over. I think that's the route they have to go with this, the way they did it, though. But I just want to see some creative stuff. I want to see more brutality on Monday Night Raw with these feuds. I want the feuds to feel like they're going for the blood. Goldberg, Edge, Rhino, Roman, Batista, Lashley, Big Show from best to worst. Sick just yelled Ricky in the chat. Rob, what's going on? Good to have you in here, Rob. We were just going over Monday Night Raw for those who are just getting into the chat live a little late here. But this is episode 93. You guys see what it's about. You guys came in here for my top 5 Edge matches, right? We're going to talk about some of them here and bring up some points about them. So if you guys have memories or anything that you think about it, let me know.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Everything Pro Wrestling, it's your boys from the Everything College Basketball Podcast and Facebook group. I'm Josh Burton, letting you all know that if you like the college game, that there's only one spot to come find all you need to know.
Yep, Josh, Peyton, and myself, Tyler. We are the 3 voices of ECB podcast and Facebook group. Peyton, tell them where they can find us and listen to us at.
Well, Tyler, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all other podcast hosting sites. Also, go join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups like Everything College Basketball.
So if you want everything you need to know about the collegiate game or have a passion for it, there's only one spot that you need to check out on a weekly basis or a daily basis with the Facebook group. That's Everything College Basketball. Now let's get back to Conrad informing you on everything pro wrestling and the workings around it.
Brother.
The early 1990s was a great time to be a child. Remember the feeling when you were young, running through the aisle of your local toy store or wishing for that present under the tree? That feeling is no longer in the past with the unofficial Wrestling Figure Retrospective. It was a period of change for the WWF and also for the figures. Back when everyone was a superstar and became names you'd remember almost 30 years later. So read the book before it pins you 1, 2, 3.
But let's get into this, shall we? And you know what? Let me put Donnie as a moderator as well in here now. Let's get into the top 5 Edge matches. Now, I saw some of you share some. You're going to be surprised. Some of the ones you guys picked aren't on my list. Some are. Here's the one thing I will say about this list. I felt like I didn't have enough time to go through all of his best matches. Edge has so many good matches that I may have said, like, I want to change this one afterwards. So don't hold me to this list. I'm going to ask that. I'm asking for forgiveness right now about it. But I feel confident enough in my list that I could do a top 5. Fair to say? So let us go through this. I'm not putting them in any ranking order either, like this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5. These are just top 5. So 5. They could be ranked. They could be reshuffled. I'm leaving it at that for right now. But I wanted to show Edge some love, kind of make this podcast about him. Check out the new logo here that I have next to me, too, while I'm doing this video. That is the new logo for Edge. So if you guys are interested in seeing what it looked like up close and personal, that is what it looks like. Top 5 Edge matches. Enough stalling. First, we got to go way back. Way back. Way back. And I figure a lot of you guys would be expecting this one. It's going to be WrestleMania 17. 3 tag teams in one match that defied an era of tag team wrestling. You have Edge and Christian. By the way, small little side note, Christian better come back to defend his friend against Randy Orton. It's only right. You can even maybe do Gangrel too. I'm tripping though. WrestleMania 17. You got Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys for the World Tag Team titles. Boy, when you had a TLC match back in the day, you knew this match was going to be dope. And this was an absolute barn burner. To me, this is the best TLC match. I don't think anything else is coming close to this. These guys tore it up in this match. This is like the standard that no one's ever going to be able to break. When I think of WrestleMania 17, I just think of the pure carnage and how each team had a plan up there. They had like a little plan going into the match, and then how everything played out into it. Edge and Christian won the last one at SummerSlam 2000. Hopefully we can do a retro review of that one day. During all of that, they found a way to pick up the win. They always found a way to go up against these teams. They were like the three rivals that you could always just circulate. It could be Hardy's Dudley's tables match. You could do Edge and Christian versus the Hardys in a ladder match. You could do a table match with the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. You could do a one-on-one match with Devon and Edge. Like, you were always going to get a fun match with these three teams. They knew the chemistry had to be there. In this match, though, everybody remembers the one image that if you had to pick one image, like a photo snapshot, it's in the WWE's like intro packages to videos showing you do not try this at home. This is the Attitude Era. When Jeff Hardy tried to, first, Jeff Hardy's nuts, by the way. He tried to run across the ladders, and he couldn't get across it because that's way too tough, number one, and he could have broke his legs doing that. I don't know what the dude was thinking. He eventually is stuck, though, on the ladders, and Bubba Ray Dudley has his legs hooked into the ladders, and he's pulling him away, and he's going all the way back, kind of like a slingshot. And as he slides back over, Edge is on top of a huge ladder. Edge jumps off and spears this man. Edge took 4 years probably off of his knees. I'm exaggerating, but could you imagine your knees falling from that height landing because you wanted to do a spear on somebody? Bro, it was flawless. It was perfect. That's exactly how you do it, man. So good. So good in that one. In the match too, another thing I loved were how every team had like kind of, I don't want to say a mascot or a manager, but they had someone in their corner who was going to try to help them win that match. The Hardy Boys, Team Extreme, they had Lita in their corner. The Dudley Boys had Little Spike, and Edge and Christian had their good friend Rhino. Gave everybody something to do. So good in that, dude. You just had so many good moments. Even they were taking bumps in the match. Made it a classic, and in the end, Edge and Christian hold their tag team titles high. I think it's a great match. It's in my top 5 WrestleMania matches, honestly. It's a great match. If you've never seen it, please go out of your way to watch this one. Really good here. Let's see what the chat is saying. I see people talking about movies going in here. Let's see here. People are talking about Baby Boy. I don't know what I missed. Higher Learning. Derek's talking about bloodbaths. Yeah, you definitely got to stay away from that Dark Order and Gangrel stuff. Lawrence Fishburne is the GOAT in all of his movies, but Denzel is first. What the heck? They're talking about when Snoop told that kid, "What is this, your little fortress?" and proceeds to kick the pillows over. Mad rude sick. Rockstar Savage said he hates Baby Boy. I don't know how they got onto this movie. It's probably because I mentioned Boys in the Hood. Ricky! Edge has the thickest knee pads on that night. It wasn't going to save him, man. Wasn't going to save him. Little Spike is now Marco. Oh, stop it. Spike was good, man. I always loved Spike Dudley. I felt bad for him in ECW, man. They used to treat him bad. I think it was La Resistance dumped him on his head, man, at one point. Terrible. Josh, what is going on? Josh Robinson in the house. Make sure you guys check out Wrestling Reverb. Little cheap plug. Him and Kevin, 1 year anniversary today. Love Wrestling Reverb, man. Watch it on YouTube and your local podcast platforms. Rockstar Savage said, I can't wait until fans turn on Drew McIntyre. Christian Edge is back. Time to roll them. Stop it. Stop it. We are comparing John Singleton movies. You guys are wilding out in the chat. But TLC, man, great match. I figure we would start with that because if you guys have listened to me talk, if it's on my greatest WrestleManias, it has to be on here, right? Now, some of these other matches, they're going to surprise you, I think, a little bit. And he has so many great ones, even little minor ones that I think people forget. Some honorable mentions. If you guys remind me at the end, I'll tell you some of the honorable mentions that I was thinking of, but I didn't have in my heart to put them in here, basically. Let's move on to the next match. We got to go back to 2006. WrestleMania 22. Edge was trying to find his edge versus Mick Foley, the legend. Edge and Mick Foley end up having themselves a hardcore match. This is another match that has a moment that people will never forget. You remember where you were that night when the thumbtacks got brought out and Edge got punished. And this is what I go back to. I talk about this on other people's podcasts. People need to have their tough guy match. The match that made them kind of like, I could take you serious now. You're more than just a pretty face, right? Shawn Michaels, he had that same match against Mankind when he won the WWF title back in the day. Him and Mankind put on a crazy match. I believe it was at Mind Games in your house. You have Triple H. His tough guy match I felt was Royal Rumble 2000 against Cactus Jack. Edge. This was the night Edge became a tough guy. WrestleMania 22. Hell, he ended up doing the same thing for Randy Orton. He gave Randy Orton a tough guy match too. Edge was already doing crazy things though, so he didn't need it as much as Orton did, but Edge needed this match. This was kind of a test to show you want to be one of the people who are going to last around here, huh? You want to be an Undertaker, you want to be a Shawn Michaels, a Triple H. Let's see if you got what it takes. Edge stepped up to the plate in this match. You could talk about the tax, like I said, some of the other crazy spots. Lita did her part in this one too. Absolutely detested Lita during this point. Honestly, I hated Edge too, but I'll probably get into that for another point later on in this. Actually, no, I'll get into it now. I hated what they did to Matt Hardy, man. This is one of the reasons why Edge as a heel worked, because I really believed that I loved Matt Hardy with Lita. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's so nice, man. You know, happy couple. But Edge broke the bro rule in real life. Like, you don't mess with your boy's girl. And he was doing that. And it was like, you said you were friends with all of them, you know, the Hardys, Edge and Christian. And I don't know what happened. That was some behind the scenes stuff, but it made me hate Edge like forever. Derek knows. Derek's favorite wrestler is Edge, and I was like, nah, man, I can't get behind that dude, man. That was slimy what he did. And I just thought he broke the bro code. You don't do that. But I digress. Edge's spear onto Mick Foley through a flaming table. Lita lights up the lighter fluid on the table. Mick Foley gets speared through it. I could not believe nothing went wrong with this. Edge is remarkable in these matches. Everything he does is on point. You know how they do it. And Mao, thank you for bringing up some good matches in here with Rock Foley, Brock Taker. Those matches made people too. Absolutely. Foley legitimized so many greats, it's ridiculous. Definitely an unsung hero in a lot of careers. You got it, Rob. That's why I always have to bring that up for Mick Foley. Edge said, stop it, Rob. You're done. So, great match, dude. Edge gets the victory over Mick Foley in this one. It was the right outcome. Foley was supposed to retire at WrestleMania 22. 6 years later, the dude's still competing at Mania. But I feel like this was a really good match, man. Casey brings up some kayfabe stuff. Didn't Matt steal her from S.A. Rios? No. She wasn't dating S.A. Rios. She was just copying his moves. Get out of here, man. Play No Mercy, man. It was just copying the same taunts and everything else. Good match though. Foley really made Edge into that main event player like he's never going anywhere. and it was well done. I have to clap it up for him. Now, speaking of hating Edge for having Lita and everything else, another thing that made Edge such a great character, I think he's the man who started it all and defined how you carry yourself as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. This is not my next match either. I just wanted to bring this up because some people are going to forget this. Edge walked around with that Money in the Bank briefcase perfectly. He never teased cashing it in like some of the people do now. Edge put it on the line against Matt Hardy. Edge would do so many things with it. He used it as a weapon from time to time, but Edge was still very smart with it. And when Edge finally used the briefcase to be cashed in, whether it was against The Undertaker, John Cena, Edge delivered the goods in the matches. He knew he had your heart tugging, and he just did it right, man. You were just like, oh, you SOB. How could you? And he just played it right, man. Next match. This match popped up now. So we went through the TLC match, and like I said, these are not in any particular order. WrestleMania 17 TLC 2, Edge and Christian, the Hardys and the Dudleys. We had WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Mick Foley. Next, I want to talk about SmackDown. SmackDown from September 26, 2002. There was a no DQ match here that was simply amazing. Edge versus Eddie Guerrero. Now, I don't know if some of you guys are going to remember this match. I think when I bring up some of the spots, you guys will. But these guys were in a major feud at the time. And this was something that I think brought Edge out of that mid-card. And it was like, take me seriously. What hurt Edge, though, was his injuries after this, and he could never really get the ball rolling as the babyface, and I felt like the fans weren't connecting with him either as much. This is during the time when he had that Rob Zombie theme, not the biggest Rob Zombie guy myself. And that's no disrespect to his music or anything like that. I just thought it was kind of a weird choice, but everything was cool back then. Like, whatever was the hip thing, Undertaker had Limp Bizkit's music. It was just what was in during that era. Edge and Eddie Guerrero tore down the house in this match. Now, I know a lot of people love the finish and everything to this match, but I think the one spot everybody remembers in this match is the ladders when they brought them in there. You saw some great suplexes off the top. You saw Eddie Guerrero just tearing it up with Edge. And eventually, they are brawling on top of the ladder. So Eddie Guerrero's more towards the turnbuckle side, and Edge is on top. At one point, Eddie Guerrero flips over the ladder. Normally now we see people do like the sit-out power bomb when they do that. Back then, Eddie Guerrero did a full rotation over and power bombed him and landed on his knees and stomach. Dude, I know that hurt. Somebody had to get the wind knocked out of him for that. That was a great spot in that match. I thought it was done well. How could you even second guess these dudes after that? They just went back and forth. There was blood in this one. Eddie Guerrero was bleeding a little bit. So good. And eventually the finish of the match comes when Eddie Guerrero is on the top rope, I believe. I want to say it was Eddie was on the top rope. Edge is on the ladder. And Edge hits the Edgecution, which was basically the Impaler DDT, off the top of the ladder onto Eddie Guerrero. And he gets the 1, 2, 3. The amazement comes back from the whole match. Edge gets the win. He solidified. People cheer. Fans are like, that was great. You could tell. You could see it. But Eddie Guerrero was the heel in the match. When you play your role so well that people were behind Edge through the whole match, Edge goes up the ramp. He's leaving. When Eddie Guerrero gets up and he gets a standing ovation from the crowd, that's how you know you put on a damn good match. Because he was a heel throughout the entire match, but the crowd stood up and gave him respect. That's exactly what you want from a pro wrestling match, in my opinion. Really good stuff here. Can't be mad at it. You're talking nicknames of just the Money in the Bank guys. Oh, they're just talking about nicknames in the chat. The chat is going off about little things here. What? Derek Shelton, do not... Oh, they're talking about Miz. I'm done listening to these guys. This chat is wild tonight. All started because of Boys in the Hood. All started because of that. Let's see. Elijah Washer said, and I love SmackDown. I want it all theme when the roster... I think this was during the Marilyn Manson days, though, when they had that theme. The Beautiful People. Just good stuff, man. That was when SmackDown was on fire in 2002. One of the things that kind of like saved me from watching WWE. I had a hard time with WWE when they did the initial brand split. And from there is when I started to really struggle watching it. Excuse me, needed a drink of water there. Let's get to the next match. WrestleMania is a match where things are defined. Careers, moments, and streaks. And I think if everything would have went right at WrestleMania 23, if you would have just had the same outcome that you eventually had, this could have been perfect. During this time period, Edge had never been pinned or submitted at WrestleMania, and neither was his opponent, The Undertaker. Now, the year before The Undertaker won the Royal Rumble, he wasn't in the main event, but at WrestleMania 24, in the Orange Bowl, or I mean, maybe it was the Citrus Bowl at the time, I can't remember what they were calling it. It's a dumpy stadium, to be honest, I've been there. Now it's Camping World Center. The match was Edge versus The Undertaker. The main event. Match of the night. I actually think this was the first WrestleMania I had ordered in a long time. And I remember I watched it with like Rob and Brandon and a couple other people were over for it. Really, really, like, it kind of got me back into wrestling again a little bit because I didn't order WrestleMania 23 going all the way back to 19. I think I missed all those Manias, like ordering them live. I eventually went back and saw them, but seeing them live, I think, or I saw them in parts and pieces because of YouTube and everything else, I said I have to order WrestleMania 24 because Ric Flair's career, everything, the whole backstory to that match. But I love the fact that Edge was undefeated, no pinfalls, no submissions, despite that Money in the Bank garbage where Mr. Kennedy won, but then Edge ended up getting the briefcase anyway. And he actually cashed in on Taker. And Taker taking on him in this epic match, this epic showdown. During this time, Edge had the Edge Heads, who you guys will know as Hawkins and Ryder now. They are a tag team once again. And I like the Edge Heads. I thought it was a nice move to stop them from being the Major Bros, to have them part of it. I believe this was the La Familia stage, if I'm not incorrect. You had Hawkins, Ryder, Chavo Guerrero, Vicky, and Edge. And, you know, Edge was trying to date Vicky at the time because he was trying to have whatever happened because she was the general manager. It was just great. Edge was a sleazeball. What he was supposed to be. And I already hated him for having Lita, and now he's doing it again with the older woman because you were like, dude, you're that desperate to keep your belt that you would do this. Perfect. Well written. So, we see all of this and how it's going down. Edge and The Undertaker battle it out in this match. They weren't holding back. Edge knew that this was his moment. He got to main event WrestleMania. He was on the SmackDown brand, and if you guys know the rumors back then, he was probably happy being away from Monday Night Raw during that time, and he was ready to whip some ass. Edge was somebody who I think some people could have bought into and said he could be the guy that ends the streak. He was still young enough. He was still moving around very well. No issues, and Edge was just the guy on SmackDown, in my opinion. He was somebody who you wanted to have in that spot. It just didn't matter. So the match starts off slow. You guys know how it is with Taker. They do their thing. They start throwing down, though, eventually in the middle of the match. And Edge starts showing why he is the Rated R superstar. Edge tries to perform the tombstone on the Undertaker. Undertaker's reversing it. They're telling a story throughout the match. Eventually we get to, I think it was Jimmy Corderas was the ref, if I'm not mistaken. He takes a ref bump. He goes down. And Undertaker hits a tombstone on on Edge. Edge is down. He folds him up. The fans are counting 1, 2, 3. I know you guys remember Charles Robinson, Little Nate, running down that ramp. Charles Robinson is in good shape. I remember on YouTube someone had a video where it was like slowed down, playing like the classic running music, like the do 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 do, and his hair's flowing. Charles Robinson gets in the ring. He makes the count 1, 2. Edge kicks out. Undertaker was shocked at that. I remember we were all like, "Woo, that's weird." He kicked out of the tombstone. Edge hits a spear, near fall on Taker. And you're wondering what's going to happen. At this point, Hawkins and Ryder have been chokeslammed on top of each other because they're nothing. And they were just the minions in this match. And while Undertaker's getting up, Edge is kind of like saying, get up, get up. You're like, well, what's going to happen? Something bad's got to happen to Edge. Edge hits the spear. Plants him right into the ground. And you're like, dude, this might be it for Undertaker's streak. Edge now does it where, when he's tired, he usually stays on his knees and he's up and he's just like, oh, God, here we go. And during that time while he was up, Undertaker locks in the Go-Go Plata, a.k.a. the Hell's Gate. And when he locks that in, the crowd ate it up. They did not tease it throughout the match. He wasn't going for it. And when he hit the spear, you thought, oh, my God, Undertaker's down. But the Undertaker, the dead man, didn't feel it. Hits him with it, locks in the Hell's Gate. Edge has nowhere to go but to tap out, and the Undertaker becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. But on that night, I felt Edge earned the respect of a lot of wrestling fans. Really, really good. I thought that was one of Edge's best matches. And Christian even said it on their podcast. They were talking about the best matches that each other had. Edge complimented Christian on his matches with William Regal and Randy Orton. And Christian said, I love his match with The Undertaker. That was a great feud, and there were a lot of their matches were really good. You got to go all the way back to when Edge inserted himself in so many of those matches, even with Batista, everything else. It was a great feud between those two. So what's the last match? I want to see if anybody in the chat has a guess. Hawkins and Ryder were nothing to see. Sucks to see nothing's changed with those two in 2020. Terrible sick. I remember Edge was reversing every single move from Taker. Yes. Remember Vicky Guerrero banned the Hell's Gates? Yeah, that was after that, Rob. That was after WrestleMania because that's what he used to defeat him. Yes, but I remember that stuff. So good, dude. Let's see here. I'm waiting to see if anybody can guess my last match here. It'll be interesting to see if anybody gets this one. And after this, guys, we're going to do the Rumble pool, and then we'll get out of here for the podcast. Seeing if somebody can throw a few guesses in the house first. While we wait for that, I'm going to take another sip of water here for my voice. Let's see here. Flood thinks HBK Edge 05. Casey just says he wants to know what's the last one. Gotta go back, Casey, to 2002. No Mercy. Edge was in a tag team at the time, competing for the WWE tag team titles, which were the SmackDown tag titles. They had a tournament. They kind of threw together some tag teams. And the team of Edge and Rey Mysterio proved to be really fun. I like that team. And they had another team who didn't like each other. The team of Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Now, when you look at this and you see how they put these tag teams together, you didn't know what you were going to get. You were like, these guys are all good, but this is tag team wrestling. I mean, they're great singles wrestlers, but how are they going to do this as a team? Edge and Rey Mysterio were a great tag team. They made this work. I loved their tandem offense. They were like kind of the risk takers between the two teams. But on the other side, you had Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Technical wrestling at its finest, in my opinion. This No Mercy match had, like I said, 4 extremely talented wrestlers all in one ring. You had everything all set up. We saw innovative double team maneuvers. Everything just fit into place. it was pure excitement. I went back and kind of looked at the match for this, and I just remember the finish having so many people being loud, but I just went back and watched it, and I did not realize how loud the fans were for this. It was really, really good, dude. You had at one point Benoit just trying to come in. Like, I love the saves at the end. So you get it at one point to where Rey Mysterio's getting angle slammed. You had Edge in ankle locks. Edge is reversing out of the ankle locks into pins for near falls. Kurt's putting the ankle lock on Edge. Edge reverses it, putting the ankle lock on Kurt. Chris Benoit trying to come in. Edge is stopping him, cutting him off. Benoit gets drop kicked to the floor by Rey. Edge picks Rey up and then like flips him over, so he does like a moonsault on top of Chris Benoit. Chemistry right there. They were trying everything they could in this match, but eventually they got caught. Edge goes for the execution, and he ends up getting tripped up eventually, and he gets caught in the ankle lock by I believe it was Kurt Angle who made him tap out in this one. Nothing wrong with that, though. Kurt Angle slapped that bad boy on a couple times in the match. He got out, but this time there was no getting out. Edge is forced to tap out to the ankle lock. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit become the tag team champions, but this led to us getting the SmackDown 6. If you guys didn't know, the SmackDown 6 where Paul Heyman had a group, kind of, he said that he could put any 6 of them in a match, and he knew he was going to get a great match. It was Edge, Mysterio, because they were a team. Then you had Benoit and Angle as a team, and then you had Los Guerreros as a team. Those were the SmackDown 6. So imagine, just take any one of those names. Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, great match. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, great match. Eddie Guerrero, Edge, we already talked about that, right? Then you could do Chavo Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. It's going to be a good match. Chavo Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. It's going to be a good match. These guys could deliver. And I thought this is where Chavo shined the most during this time. This is my favorite run for him during that time of the SmackDown 6. These guys were going to have great matches at Survivor Series in 2002. A really good pay-per-view, which will be done one day, I promise you guys, for the retro reviews. I got to get back on those. I haven't done one in a while. But really, really good. Rob just brought up Edge's match with Edge and Hogan versus Billy and Chuck on the 4th of July for the titles. That was so great. Rob said that was the last match he watched with his grandfather before he died. I'll never forget that moment. That was great. Derek brought up the ankle lock was not like Ken Shamrock on Christian. Terrible, terrible, terrible. How about Jeff Hardy versus Edge in the ladder match? Yes, that was one of my matches that almost made the cut for this, but I couldn't find a way to take it off or anything else. John Cena and Edge too in their TLC match. I love that match. For Edge, that's definitely in the top 10, I think, for him as well. I'm trying to think of some other matches. I loved Edge's Chambers matches where he went in there with like Rey Mysterio and all those guys on SmackDown, I believe it was at the time. Edge had great chamber matches. Edge versus Undertaker in that TLC match where Taker's like career was over if he lost, and he lost. So many good matches, like I said, guys. You can go back. You can find everything that you need. Thank you, Sick, for telling people to spear those like buttons and sub buttons. I appreciate that. Please acknowledge Malik for that ladder match. Yes, Malik definitely deserves acknowledgement for that ladder match. Really good stuff, man. That's all I'm going to keep saying. Like, really good shit, pal, throughout all of this. I thought it was good. They did what they had to do for this. Those are my top 5 favorite Edge matches. I know that you guys have a bunch that you can come in here, talk about. Edge is great. Let's take it in while we have him, because I saw somebody say something about like Edge has a 6-pack and Chris Jericho doesn't. What's your excuse, buddy? And I said, why don't we enjoy these guys while we have them? They are gems to have in the ring, in my opinion. Let's enjoy Chris Jericho and Edge while we have them, because we don't know how long we're going to have these guys for before they're getting ready to retire and say, you know, I don't need to do this anymore. Enjoy these guys. Enjoy pro wrestling. Let's have some fun here. Make sure we're not cutting each other down, doing anything that's crazy. How about when Edge first cashes in on New Year's Revolution? My cousin wrote a very angry letter to WWE when that happened. Terrible. You must have been a John Cena fan. That was a great cash in. One of the better ones, I'll say. We've talked, and we've talked enough, folks. It is time to now find out who wins the Royal Rumble pool here, folks. We have 2 of these that we need to do. One I'm going to have to try to do on air with you guys. So hopefully we don't get too much slowdown here. But I have a randomizer wheel. So first we're going to do the Women's Rumble. It came down to 2 people, Jamie Clearman and Abe Stone. Whoever this lands on will win the pool. The other person, so they're going to get the gift card. The other person is going to get to pick a review. So you're both kind of winning no matter what. You get to pick one review that I'll do. It could be any show. It could be good, bad, or ugly. I may curse you out while I'm doing it, but you pick the review. So whatever you say. Let us have this happen. We're going to spin the wheel to see who gets it. Jamie Clearman is the winner of the $25 gift card. So Jamie's going to have to get in touch with me to let me know exactly what is going on with that. So, let me see here. Looks like it's skipping some frame rates here, but Jamie is the winner, just so you guys can see it. And you guys can watch me enter in the next names here. And that will be Josh Burton. For the Men's Rumble, he was one of the winners. And who was the other one? Paul Castle. Okay. We are going to update the wheel changes here. If this thing wants to do that. Let's see here. All right. We're coming back. I got to get back onto the wheel. And I'll make sure that I edit that out of the podcast here. You know, I'll leave it in. They can hear it. You hear it. All right. So we got Josh Burton and Paul Castle here. All right, the wheel is spinning. Who is it going to land on? And Paul Castle is the winner of the gift card. So, 2 winners for that one. Can't be mad at it, right? So Paul and Jamie were the winners. Abe and Josh, though, are allowed to pick out a review for me to do. We could do that one. I still say the runner-up should have gotten WWE 2K20. I wouldn't do that to anybody who even lost, sick. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Yeah, so we got ourselves some winners here. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the prizes. I hope you guys enjoyed the Royal Rumble pool. Next year, man, let's try and get some more people in the pool, and we'll end up having to do it the same way. If you guys don't like the wheel, we'll try something else. I think the wheel would be better if we had more people on it, like if we had 17 different pools. That would be a lot different to try and do that. And maybe next year we'll try and start it a little bit earlier to get more people in the pools. But with that being said, guys, this is episode 93 of Everything Pro Wrestling. Thank you guys for joining me live on YouTube, and hopefully if you're checking me out on any other audio platforms, you subscribe. With that being said, we are out. Peace.